the Tech Slam playlist. So in case you talk to anybody and they wonder, that's where it will be, on those two different playlists, okay? So my plan is to just kind of do what we did back in the spring, the good old days, when we did Tech Slams. And so I'll just kind of walk through the process. If you have questions like about what I'm doing, like, hey, what did you do? Or what did you click? Please just unmute yourself and ask. That's totally fine to interrupt me. But if you have a question that's not relevant to what I'm doing at that moment, but you want to make sure it gets answered, you can put it in the chat. Matt Tanabe is on the call also, and so he might be able to answer some questions in the chat. And then we'll plan to have some time at the end just to ask some questions. So one thing just to clarify, what I'm going to go through today is purely just about the GoGuardian piece of MAP testing. So we won't talk at all about logging into MAP or administering MAP. This is just going to be for GoGuardian. Also, and I'm just going to show you a couple of the relevant GoGuardian pieces for MAP, but please note that this tool is going to changing your life. That's probably a little bit dramatic, but it's truly amazing once you see what you can do with it. It's basically classroom management for student Chromebooks. So you'll see, we'll do some demonstrations. You'll kind of see what it looks like while students are live and what you can see and what you can do. There will be more opportunities to learn, more Tech Slams, more other things coming after MAP is over, but we just wanted to get everybody kind of up and running and over the MAP hump, and then we'll be able to explore the wonder that is GoGuardian, okay? So first of all, oh, sorry, my watch just talked to me. All right, I'm going to present my screen. Okay, so everybody should have received an email from GoGuardian with a big sign up with Google. If you didn't, I've heard from a few people that for some reason didn't get the email, but they still were, I could see them in the dashboard. So if you didn't get an email, just try logging in and you'll probably be fine. You just didn't get an email for some reason. So in order to log in, you just go to GoGuardian, actually, go to teacher.goguardian.com. And then you'll be prompted to log in with Google. Choose your account. And so what I'm going to pretty much do for the rest of this time is to go through what I demonstrated on the YouTube videos. And so just in case you weren't aware, if you go to our YouTube channel, which has been pushed out, if you go to the CCSD 21 links folder that everybody has in their browser, you click on it, you can see our YouTube channel is here. So if you go to that, it's divided into playlists by tool. So if you go to the GoGuardian CCSD 21 playlist, there's these very short videos, probably they're about 2-3 minutes a piece, that just show you each little chunk. And so the first thing I'm showing you is this one. The second thing I'm showing you is this create a map scene. And I'm really just going off of the documentation that you've already received or will receive. So it's like, you have the paper documentation, you have the video that I recorded, and now we have this Tech Slam too. So kind of trying to just show you in a bunch of different ways how to do this. Then we'll look at starting a session, and then we'll just look at a few tips and tricks for while you're actually, the session is going on, for how to communicate with teachers. And I just added one today on how to add a co-teacher within GoGuardian, and I'll get to that in a sec. Okay. So the first time you log into GoGuardian, this is what your dashboard will look like. You probably won't have any classes if you haven't imported any yet. It's totally fine. And so the best way to add a class into GoGuardian is to click Import Classroom. Now, note, only a Google Classroom can only be imported by one person. like one time. So if I have a co-teacher, like let's say Matt and I are co-teachers and he already imported it into GoGuardian, I can't import it also. He will have to add me as a co-teacher. You could have the exact same permissions. It doesn't mean one is like the owner, the other one can't do certain things. You can make them exactly the same and equal. So it really doesn't matter who actually uploads or imports the class. So you would just click Import Google Classroom. A list of all of your classrooms will come up, and then you'll just select the one that you want to import. Okay? So I've already done that with 2 classes right here. So if I click on Master Test Class, and just so you know, if you want, you can click on Settings. So again, this is the dashboard. This is the settings. And if I can make the tile color different, I can change the name. I can give it a subject if I want to. There's really no reason to do that. So I'll click on the class. And so here, this is a list of all the sessions that I've already done with this class. Yours will be empty for at first. Here are the students. So once you've imported your Google Classroom, all of your students will be here. If you've taken any recordings, because you can actually record students' screens, they'll be here. But again, that's for another time. We don't have to worry about that right now. Teachers, this is where you can add a co-teacher. So if you want someone else to be able to see the screens, answer questions from students, that kind of thing, here's where you do that. Over here on the left, click Teachers. You have to click Add Teacher, this big green button right here. And then you can search our domain by name. So like if I wanted to add Kim Miller, there she is. If I want her to be my exact same role, like she can make all kinds of changes if she wants to the classroom or whatever, she could be an owner. Or if I want her to do pretty much everything but like modify my class name and things like that, I could make her a teacher. If you just want somebody to like watch, monitor, I think chat with students, they can be a helper. So these are just your different permissions. Okay. So that's it. That's the first part, which I detail in the video, this getting started. Okay, that's all you have to do to get started. Does anybody have any questions so far? Okay. All right. Next chunk, I'm just going to go through the documentation and kind of walk it through and demonstrate. Yeah.
Alicia, can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
As a special education teacher, can I create my own class with my caseload?
Will you, for map testing, will you be administering map to them all at one time, separate from the regular classroom?
I don't know. I have on the schedule, it says that I will have a group to test.
Okay.
But it's not clear because I work with 4 different schools. So it's not clear at this point.
Okay. Well, we can talk about that maybe offline, because I think maybe some other people might have a similar question. But sounds basically good. if you have a Google Classroom that has just certain students and you know that you're going to be testing those students, maybe you import that into GoGuardian and that's what you test. But we can talk about that.
Thank you.
Okay. Situation. Okay. All right. So another thing that you'll have to do to set up before the day of math that you can do like right now or sometime is to create a scene. So one of the things with GoGuardian that it lets you do is it lets you create an unlimited amount of scenes. And a scene is basically like tricking out your class session. So it's like saying, I want only these tabs open. I only want 7 tabs total open. I want it to start with these tabs. And you can really kind of specify a lot of things about what your students can do during that session if you apply a scene. Again, we'll talk about that later, other uses, but right now I'm gonna show you how to create a map scene that you're gonna be using on the day of map testing, because we don't want students to be able to kind of go rogue and open anything. So we're gonna kind of lock them down by creating this map scene. So to create the map scene, again, you're just in your dashboard and you click over here on the left where it says scenes. You can see I've done some different testing. These are some scenes that I've created. I'm going to click add scene. Okay, so the first thing you have to do is give your scene a name. And I already gave my scene, I was testing this, so I'll just say map A, how about? Or you would just call it map probably. And now, one of the things that you're going to have to do for filters, right now it's allowing, which means students can go to any website, doesn't really matter. We're saying no, they can't go to any website except for certain ones that we're allowing. And so the ones that we're allowing are the 3 URLs in this district quick list. So we at the district level already created a list of 3 websites that students will need for map. And so what you'll do is you'll click block mode again, and then you'll go over here to NWA map test, click add lists. So now you can see everything will be blocked except for these 3 websites. Okay. And then again, this is all detailed in the documentation and in the video that I recorded for this.
Alicia, does that, are they going to be in Hangouts with us also? Or
no,
okay.
I will show you, Julie, why you don't
okay,
even
awesome, because I figured then that would block them out of Hangouts, but I didn't know if they were in Hangouts with us or not.
Just you wait, you will see, okay? So then the next thing that you have to do is set maximum open tabs to 7. All right. So then once you've done that, block, give it a name, block, add your quick list, 7 tabs, and then click save scene. Okay, so here's your scene now.
Sorry, I got a little lost. So you put in the name, you put in the automatic tabs that are included in that list.
Yep.
And then you go down to auto tabs. You don't touch that, the auto tabs?
Nope,
You
don't touch that.
Okay, and then just 7.
And then update scene or save scene. Okay.
Thank you.
All righty. So that's it for that chunk. So that's something that you can do well before the day of map testing.
We have a question from Whitman. What was your question?
I just said, why 7 tabs?
Why 7 tabs?
That's a fabulous question. I went off of the documentation that was created, so I don't really know, but I know that the info services team did a lot of testing and a lot of going through the map process, and so they determined that 7 is the number that we need. Matt, do you know why? Does you have anything to do with map? I don't think so, right?
Part of that documentation, but 7 should give enough, I guess, leeway in case there's an issue with the test or something like that. So
yeah. All right. So I'm going to move on to the next document, which is the next video that I created, which is to start a GoGuardian session the day of map testing. So it's the day of map testing. You're ready to start your session. Here's what you do. I'm going to walk through this. Again, I made a video with that exact same name. So starting a session on the day of map testing. So you'll be in your GoGuardian. You're in your classrooms tab. Click on the class that you're going to be testing. You're going to start a new session. So every time you're going to be managing your students, it's called a session. So here, it defaults session for 45 minutes. You're going to change that to 2 hours. Then it says apply a scene to this session. Yep, we're going to apply our map scene because you've already created that. So you'll just choose your map scene. Excluding students, that's if somebody's not in school that day or you don't want to capture them. Generally, probably not, but if there's any students you need to exclude, you could do that here, right? And then you'll click start. Now you'll click start session. So this is kind of a big class. Most of them are not logged in, but I think Matt, yeah, so Matt is logged in on 2 different Chromebooks you can see here. So you can see that he was on some different websites, but as soon as I applied the scene, the map scene, and started the session, he's now unable to go anywhere except for the map website that was allowed for the map session. So if he tried going anywhere else, he would get a block error message. Okay, so that's how it'll keep students locked in, kind of like how we had the lockdown browser, like the kiosk app for map in the past. So this is what we can use now for that. So we can make sure that students are only going and only able to go to the websites that we specify. A couple of things that you want to do once you've got students logged in and before they actually start taking the test are, and this is for Julie, you want to turn on the chat. So up at the top right, it's turned off. You want to turn on the chat, click the little 3 dots, and you want to make sure audio alerts, so you'll get like a little sound, and desktop notifications are on. In case a student contacts you, you'll be notified. Turn off task alerts. That's not necessary. And then over here where it says call students, click call students. And so what this will do is it will allow the lecture presentation mode will allow you to speak and or share your screen to all students without any disruptions. So they just have to watch and listen. So you'll click start lecture. You have to enable, if you're going to use your camera, you have to enable that. Enable your microphone. And then I don't think you'll have to present your screen because I think you're just reading the directions. And so select, oh yeah. And then it says here, select students to present to. If I'm presenting to my whole class, I just choose them all, which I would be. So you just choose them all and then start presenting. So now you can see this big red banner is saying, hey, you're presenting to your screen, your students. And so Matt, he would be seeing, yeah. So you can see on Matt's student devices, he's watching me, he's listening to me present. Okay.
Alicia, can you go back to like where it says select, like the select students or whatever?
Yeah. So again, it's start lecture, turn on your camera, turn on your mic, and then down here in this blue banner, it says select students to present to. Choose them all, and then start presenting.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and then when you're finished, and before you stop, you want to make sure that all your students can see you on the screen. And again, you can just click back to the tab, and you can just make sure that everybody's logged in, that who you're expecting to be logged in, and that you can even see yourself on their screen. And then when you're finished, just click stop presenting. So this is kind of setting up the day of MAP testing, like for the beginning of the period when kids are there or in their homes and you're all ready to start. You're going to do those steps, apply the scene, turn on the chat, and then do this lecture presentation in order to read directions.
Alicia?
Yeah.
So, you know, like we have the little ones and they obviously come into our Google Chat in the morning. If we have this set up ahead of time and let's say like our whole class comes in to our Google Chat or whatever, once we start GoGuardian, will it kick them out of the chat and then just pop this out to them? Is that how it works? Is it?
Do you mean your Google Meet, Julie?
I mean my Google Meets. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I said Google Chat. Google Meet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm assuming they're going to come touch base with us before it starts, so we know, you know what I mean, especially with the little ones, right? So
sure. So you could start the day with your Google Meet, and then you could say, okay, everybody, we're going to start going now for MAP testing. So I'm going to turn on the scene or however you want to explain it to them. And as soon as you do that, the Meet will go away.
Okay. So they don't have to do anything. It just automatically does it, and then it pops it out to them. It's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. So that's now you're getting them going, and now they're in the MAP test and they're taking the MAP test. So now this is the last chunk. This is this last document, and that was the video that I showed also about tips and tricks for MAP growth and reading fluency. This is like during the test for how you'll communicate to students. And so there's a couple of different ways that you can communicate with kids. So you've got your chat on. So the first way that you can communicate, if you want to send a message to the entire class, like 5 minutes left or something, what you can do is you'll go down here. Again, you have to make sure your chat's on. Go down here to the bottom right, this little chat bubble. And then this megaphone here at the top, this is like the all class announcement. So I would click the all class announcement. And then I can type that. And then this announcement is going to go right in the middle of their screen. And they can't do anything until they click out of it. So send announcement. And you can see here on Matt's screens, he's got this little message that popped up. And so students have to click OK in order to go back to the test. So that's a way that you can make sure you have all of their attention. So that's one way that you can contact students, is doing this all class announcement. If you want to talk to just one student in particular, because you are concerned about something or want to make sure they're doing okay, you'd have to make sure it's somebody who's actually green, who's logged in. And so you would click their name. And then now you can see, I'm just going to send a message to this one Chrome test account. So do you have a question? And so you can see this is my chat, running chat here on the side. And then it popped up in his browser. And so now the student can respond, yes. So you can see this is why you don't need Google Hangouts, because this has this chat feature built right in. And then you can just go back and forth like that. Okay, so that's if you, the teacher, want to initiate a question first for students. Alternatively, maybe Matt can demonstrate. A student also has the ability to contact you if they have a question. So at the bottom left corner of your student screen, there's a little chat bubble. It's a green little chat box, and that's how they can contact the teacher.
Should we like educate them on that they have that option?
Yes. So
If so, how?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about that. I'm going to make a note. Maybe I'll make a video for students to show them how to chat with their teacher during the MAP test.
Thank you, because,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I'll put it on the map playlist. How about that? Or the GoGuardian playlist. How to chat. Matt, did you chat with me?
Alicia,
No.
Oh, could you send me a message really quick, Matt? So Matt's gonna send me a message.
Alicia, what if they're little? Like, what about like kindergarten? Well, sorry, what about first graders? Like, what if they have a question during the test? How do they communicate with you? Because they don't know how to type or any of that yet.
Let me show you this really quick. So this just came up because I enabled my desktop notifications. And so now it says, this would be a student's name, but it's Chrome Test 1 says, I need help. So I can click that and then open the chat with him. So Matt, we don't have, do we have the ability to call students? Do you remember that?
Yes, that should be enabled for everyone.
Okay. So if I like, if to their point, if it's a little student or somebody who isn't able to type, what happens if the teacher clicks call student? What does that go to?
I believe the student will just get a notification that the teacher is calling them, and they can have the ability to answer.
But like within the platform, right?
Within the yeah, it'll pop up on the student's Chromebook.
So like if I tried calling Matt.
Alicia, I tried that call feature yesterday when we were like watching the kids' screens.
I'm sorry, you tried the call feature?
Yes, and it doesn't work going to kids' Chromebooks. Like I tried to kind of stop the kid doing what she's not supposed to be doing. And it doesn't, it just sends an error message.
Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing here it's kind of timing out. Matt, are you getting anything?
I haven't joined the call yet. So.
Okay. Can you hear me through the Chromebook?
Hold on. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So we just tried it, and Matt is on a Chromebook, and so he was able to hear me through the Chromebook. All right, I'm going to end the call. So I guess that's what I would say. We'll test it again just to make sure. But if you need to talk to a student and the student isn't able to type, you could call the student Chromebook. Okay. And Matt, can a student initiate that as well? Can you, if you did the chat box as a student, are you able to call the teacher, or do you have to just type?
I think it's only a text. It's a text on the chat.
You don't have the option to call the teacher?
No, yeah, it's just a text.
Okay, so we can make a video. We'll do some testing, and we'll make a video too about how teachers can call students.
How do you link assignments and work from Google Classroom into this so that you can monitor what they're doing while you're teaching?
So basically anything that they're doing on their Chromebook, you can see. So you don't need to link any assignments or anything. It's more like you would tell them what to do like you normally would. Okay, everybody work on this essay or work on whatever. Whatever they're doing on their Chromebook, you'll be able to see on their screen.
So there's nothing I need to do okay, so I'm sounding redundant, sorry.
No, that's okay. Yeah,
So,
no, it's new,
So once I added my classroom, I imported it into this. Do I need to go into the links like you showed us for the map in order for them to continue participating in the classroom? Like, because if I'm using the as a teaching vehicle, for lack of a better word, and then I start this, I guess my confusion comes, how does it transition? I make a scene and that's how it starts?
Well, for map, yes. Map, you need to make a scene. But for normal teaching, you don't have to at all. So we'll definitely do more kind of PD and more of these sessions, just kind of general use, because there is a lot you can do with scenes, without scenes. But I just want to keep this session just about map for now.
Okay, fair enough, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So does anybody have, that was kind of it. That's the whole thing. And then when you're done, one thing I want to just really quick, I want to show you, if you need more time, like we set up for 2 hours, if you need more time, and you can see I have 105 minutes remaining, but let's say there was 5 minutes remaining and I want to add more time, I can click right here where it says update time, and I can either give it a chunk of time or I can just make a new time on the clock for when it ends. And then when I'm finished, I can just click end session.
What if your student's screen says, like, what you're in this page here, but it says monitoring restricted? I ran across that today when I was testing this out.
I just looked that up, and it looks like it comes up when a student is logged into multiple devices or non-Chrome devices, non-school managed devices, like a desktop or maybe a phone or something like that.
So what if
using their Chromebook? They would need to make sure to be using their school Chromebook.
Okay.
I came in, I don't know if you can hear me. I came in half a second late, and I'm not sure if you covered this, but I would love clarification. Are we as teachers automatically given the rights to our students' screens, or do they have to give us permission?
No, you have to just import your Google Classroom. So you would just you log in, you'd have this empty desktop. You click import Google Classroom.
Yeah, I saw that part. I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't something else I had to do on the side.
No.
Great. Cool.
And there's nothing students can do to like decline or anything like that. As long as they're in your Google Classroom and they're using their Chromebook, then they're automatically captured by you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I was wondering if I could just ask at this point, if you are importing students from Google Classroom, but you have a student that hasn't actually joined your classroom yet, is there a way to add that student afterwards, or?
Yeah, if you, let me think about this. If you, how does that work? If there's this, here we go, this is it. So if you import your Google Classroom and the student hasn't yet joined, Google Classroom syncs with GoGuardian every 2 hours. So you don't even need to click sync students, because every 2 hours it'll sync. But if that student finally joins or finally accepts your invite or whatever, and it's within 2 hours of when you want to use GoGuardian, just click this sync students and he'll be captured. Does that make sense, Penny?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? I will post this video to the GoGuardian CCSD 21 playlist, as well as the TechSlam playlist.
Alicia, I don't know if you know this, but as an ESL teacher, I put it in the chat, but as an ESL teacher, they're allowing the ESL kids to test if they've been here for 2 years or more. Do they like if they haven't been here for 2 years, do they automatically get dropped, or is that something I have to hunt down to make sure of?
Are you asking if they need to get map tested?
Well, normally the tier A's and B's do not get map tested. However, this year you guys are allowing them to be map tested if they've been in the country for more than 2 years or more. So my question is, obviously some of those kids are in my classroom. Do I need to know that and just not put them in my test, or do they automatically kind of get bumped from somewhere else?
So that's a great question for Beatrice Reyes-Childress. She's our new director of assessment. And so she does everything regarding like who's map testing, who's doing the proctoring, who's administering. That's a good question for her.
So just email her?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Jamie, I couldn't find where you import students from Google Classroom. You mean from the very beginning?
Yeah, I just went there to set up my class and it says like to use that code, and if you could just show that, thanks.
Yeah, so when you first log into GoGuardian, you'll see probably just a blank dashboard.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see this import Google Classroom button? You're in teacher.goguardian.com?
Yeah, you know what? I went right and clicked on my classroom that I set up earlier in the week.
Oh, okay.
I see.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
you could just click back on classrooms right here.
Right. Thanks.
Yeah. And when you're in your dashboard, up at the top, you can see any sessions that are active. So you can see right here, I'm in master test class. There's 99 minutes remaining.
Alicia, I'm sorry, I thought of another question. I thought I read somewhere that we are going to be testing half of our kids at a time. Would that be right? Like there's a session A and a session B?
Again, I think that would be a good question. Actually, a good question for your instructional coach and or the principal.
Okay, well, if that is the case, then how do we manage that list if only half? Do you choose only those students to get those messages? Is that what you do?
Well, you would, like, let's say, I'm going to end this session. I'm going to start it again, and I'll show you. Okay, so I'm going to start a new session. Here's where it says want to exclude students from this session. So then anybody that you don't want, you just toggle off.
Thank you.
And they won't be captured by your map scene. Anybody else?
I have a question. If I import a classroom and I still have students that haven't accepted the invite or joined yet because they haven't shown up, if I import the classroom, when they join the classroom, will they then be imported, or do I have to wait until everybody's accepted the Google?
No,
invite?
no. So once you import the Google Classroom, if you go to students, like I'm in my master test class and I click on students, you can see it syncs, the program syncs with Google Classroom every 2 hours. So it'll capture those kids. And then if there's, let's say, a student who is finally accepted your invite and you want to use GoGuardian like less than 2 hours from that time, you can just manually like force the sync by clicking the button.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? So it is 4:25. I'll just hang out here in case anybody wants to linger and ask any questions. Otherwise, thanks a lot for coming. I hope this was helpful. Remember, those videos are out there which detail exactly what I just went through here. So good luck, and we'll talk to you soon.
Alicia, a quick question. Are we able to use this now, or do you want us only using it for map testing at this point?
You can use it now if you want to give it a try.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Alicia, I have a quick question. So I know for map testing, kids have to use their Chromebooks. Like during the regular school day, is it okay if kids don't use their Chromebook? Because, you know, then we can't see their screens. Is there like a district policy on that?
I'm sorry. you're wondering if they can if they can use like a family computer or something?
Correct, because like today I was on and I had the restricted, that restricted message, and it was because he was using another device that he said was faster. It works faster than my Chromebook, so I use this. Is that's okay? Kids can do that, or is that?
No, we really don't want them to do that, partly because we have the Chromebooks are all managed, and there's a filter applied by the district as far as like a safe search filter. The GoGuardian piece needs the Chromebook, so really that should definitely be discouraged.
Okay, so is that something that like the principals should put out in like their weekly messaging, or is that just we're just going to deal with it on a case-by-case basis?
This is the first I've heard of it. Matt, have you guys heard that being an issue?
I have not, other than this issue with GoGuardian being, monitor only with, non-Chromebook devices, I guess.
Yeah. So, but Karen, that's a good question. I'll mention it to Mike Frantini, the CTO, and then depending on maybe if more people report this or if he just wants to go ahead and proactively let the principals know, because it is a good question and it's not something that we want people to start doing. So thank you for bringing it up. Anybody else?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to stop the recording.